To kick off my 35th, really 45th set of videos, I'll be finishing off Final Fantasy Adventure. Last time I just freed the town Jad from Devious after being ejected from the Glaive Empire's airship, so now I have to make my way back to Glaive to save Fuji, following a Garuda over Mount Rocks to try and reclaim the Pendant of Mana. So leaving Jad, my next destination is Glaive. I could ride the Chocobo to speed things up, but you can't fight on it and so I'd miss out on experience. From the entrance to Jad I go south, east, north, and meet another two new enemies at once, the Ape and Mole Bear. North again and this group of werewolves get me to level 34. I get the grinding bug again since they're all huddled in one spot, and over 6 minutes grind myself 2 levels to level 36. I then cut through the trees and go east, facing my first Goldfish enemy, and then north. North again up the stairs to reach Mount Rocks and east across the bridge and north up even more stairs, then west and into the cave entrance to the Cave of Mount Rocks. I go west, cut through some coral I think, and meet the Phantasm, another enemy immune to my weapons. I go north and west, cutting through a room filled with coral I think, and then through the western door. I then go south and west one more time to meet the boss of this place already, the Metal Crab. This one fights by shuffling around the screen, taking up most of the space and colliding with me. The opposite of the Medusa, this one I can only damage by attacking its front. That's all there is to say about this fight, and as long as you keep your health topped up, it shouldn't be long before it's defeated. It leaves behind some stairs to the next floor. I go west, west again, west a third time, and up the stairs in the corner to end up back outside. From here I move west, south, east, south again, south through the next 2 screens, and south once more for another 2 enemies, always appearing in pairs I've noticed. This time the Ogre and the Barnacle Jack. To the east is a recovery spring, then going back I take the east and north exit, then east again and north up the stairs and east again. There are 2 vines here and I climb the eastern one up 2 screens to reach a hut. It's an armoury where I can buy myself some expensive opal armour, opal helmet and opal shield. Putting them all on is an extra 8 defence. I climb back down and take the western vine up 3 screens, where I next have to go west so I can cut around the trees to go back east on the northern half and then take the northern exit. North through one more screen and the enemies on this one get me to level 37. From here it's east and south, cut through the trees and south again, east and north up the stairs and go through the entrance to enter Mount Rocks proper. To start with I can move in 3 directions, but I go north, then east and east again to what looks like a dead end. I use a mattock on the northern wall to break through to another room and then go west into a room with 4 switches and 4 empty chests. Got to be careful killing the wolves or you could end up destroying the chests and have to leave the room and try again. I place all the chests on the switches but nothing happens, so I just have to destroy one of them after it to open the door going north. I then go east and unlock another door to keep going east, cut through the coral I think and east some more, then I get going south. South again, south a 3rd time, then east, across the bridge and east again and up the stairs in the room at the end. This takes me outside where I go east once more to reach the boss of this place, the Cyclops. It moves around swinging a morning star above its head, swinging out in front of itself. This guy moves quickly so I find the easiest way to deal with him is to stay away, watch my attack charge up and when fully charged I throw my axe at him. It takes a while thanks to all that time charging, but it works and I take him down. I then take his morning star as a weapon. I'm very thankful for this weapon as it can break down walls. This means I never have to rely on mattocks again. I have held a grudge against them ever since the situation at Ketz. It's also 10 attack points stronger than the Were Axe. I go back inside, backtrack west 2 screens and then keep going west, taking me back to the start of this place, then north again. I learned that the Morning Star can actually kill the phantasms I've been ignoring. I unlock the door to the north and go through to reach a second boss, the Grinder. It zips around the screen with constant shoulder charges, but all that does is allow me to spam my Morning Star and let it run right into it. It's taken out in no time and leaves the magic book of lightning. I go north through the next door, break through the rocks without needing a mattock, and go up the stairs to end up back outside. I cross the bridge here to the east and go back inside, the bridge collapsing behind me first to make sure I can't go back. We are now back at Glaive, outside the waterfall where I first saw the Dark Lord and Julius. I walk 2 screens east and then to Glaive Castle through the front door. The next gate is closed so I have to go west and cut through the trees so I can go west again, then north around the castle walls to reach a door and get inside. We're in the waterway now and I start by crossing both bridges and going north, crossing another bridge and going east. I cross the next bridge and go east, cross the next one going north and keep moving east, then cross another to go up some stairs. Back outside I climb this vine all the way north to the top of this tower and go down the stairs back inside. Then down another set of stairs to end up back outside. I go down the steps and then west where on this screen is another boss already, the Chimera. It spits 2 fireballs straight down from its wings and charges across the screen in a zigzag pattern. This means I just hang out close to it spamming the Morning Star, letting it run into me and healing when needed, just like how I dealt with the Grinder. It's defeated just as easily. I go down the stairs here and back inside to reunite with Fuji. Sumo lets her know that they have her pendant and she joins back up with me, saying that the Dark Lord's room is on the top floor. I go down the stairs and in the next room, go up the stairs in the northeast corner. I go down the steps here which have me separated from my first opponents with another 2 new enemies, the Darkstalker and the Wizard. Basically repurposed Dark Knight and Magus sprites from Final Fantasy III. The wizards are still a threat as they can petrify me from a distance. I go west and through the door where a guy inside will sell me items. I go back 3 screens up those steps where I reach level 38 and then go west. They're really filling the screen with strong enemies now. I keep going west, west again, and then south to reach another door back inside. Have to walk over spikes in here, there's no choice. I unlock the door going north, and in the north room go east, and in the next screen I break down the northern wall. This room is filled with damaging sparks I have to navigate around so I can go east to a room filled with pits where I have to use my chain to cross using the posts. I reach a switch at the other end to open some stairs in the corner. Down the stairs I go north, east, south, south again, east, unlock the eastern door and find a bed I can rest in for free. I backtrack 2 screens west and go west again and down the stairs in this room. Or I could if I could not destroy the chest on the switches keeping it there. But I reach level 39 which makes up for it. I eventually get down the stairs and then go east, east again, smash through the eastern wall, go east once again, then north through the door and up the stairs. I go south and east through the door to a room filled with enemies. Killing them all spawns a chest containing the blood sword. It's 4 points weaker than the Morning Star, but heals me when I damage an enemy. Back west and north, I break down the northern wall and unlock the door to the east. I then go up the stairs and on the next floor, go through the doors to the south and to the west. Then west again where there are 2 switches. I have to use ice to create 2 snowmen and place them on the switches. I keep messing up though, either killing enemies or destroying snowmen, and during one of my attempts to leave the room to respawn the enemies, I reach level 40. But I eventually get it and go down the new stairs. I go west and then north to another set of stairs to go up, then through the door to the north which leads into the Dark Lord's throne room. He's not in, so I go west and then up some stairs to find him at the top of the castle. He can tell Sumo has gotten stronger, but doesn't feel very threatened. Sumo tells Fuji to keep back and the battle starts. The Dark Lord cannot be harmed from the front on his shield side, but he's a total pushover. He just wanders around and thanks to me having the blood sword, I can just stay inside him pounding away recovering my health. Throw in a few charged shots as well and he's finished quickly. He doesn't even explode like the others. Sumo recovers Fuji's pendant, but it turns out to be a fake. I go back down to the previous room to find that Fuji is missing again. Sumo also realises that he hasn't seen Julius here either, and realises he must have taken Fuji to the waterfalls. We warp outside where we can see Fuji slowly walking to the west, not responding to Sumo's calls. I follow her to the waterfalls where once again she ignores Sumo. Julius then reveals himself. He has Fuji under mind control and he has the real pendant. He commands her to use a spell on the waterfalls. Julius reveals that he is the last survivor of the Vandal Empire who used mana to conquer the world, and he plans to take that power back. Fuji reverses the waterfalls and her and Julius go up them, preventing Sumo from following by blasting him off into the distance. Sumo is too injured to move, but his chocobo turns up to carry him off, taking him east into the town Ish. We don't see it, but both Sumo and the chocobo collapse in town and are found by a woman, Sarah. Sumo wakes up in Sarah's house with Bogard in the next bed. When Julius caught us on the airship, Bogard was thrown overboard and found by Sarah. Sumo's a bad loser and throws a temper tantrum. Having been beaten up so many times, he thinks he's the wrong person to become a new Gemma Knight. Bogard tries to calm him down, but Sumo isn't having any of it and tells the greatly injured bedridden old man to do it himself. Bogard rightly tells him to shut the fuck up and get out. As soon as he gets outside, Sarah tells Sumo that Bogard broke his back and isn't going to be moving for a while. Through all the stories of places being attacked by the Empire, he kept telling people it will be alright because a boy called Sumo will save everyone, and after seeing him turn up, everyone in town believes in him now. She also lets him know that the Chocobo is being treated by a Dr. Bow Wow. Going back inside, you can't apologise, as Bogard won't even talk to Sumo. And it's deserved. One thing that's always drove me up the wall, especially going back 15 or so years to the peak of emo being the then current word of choice for character I don't like, is people taking one scene of a character reacting under great duress or having suffered personal tragedy and using it to just write off characters as whiny. RPG characters in general especially suffered this from late 2000s nerds trying their best to make themselves look smarter in the game. And majority of the time I found those people's reactions overblown or desperate. But this is one of those few times where I actually do find the character's breakdown unsympathetic. I really shouldn't, but I think it might be the English localization script. Obviously the game is intending for Sumo to be in the wrong since it immediately has Sarah pile on the massive guilt trip. It's as I described it just a bit earlier. The dialogue makes it feel less like having reached his emotional limit after several losses, but more like a kid shouting and screaming because he's lost to the video game boss 4 times now. It's not character ruining or anything, since it's just one scene, but it was what I was thinking while I was playing. Next door to Sarah is the armory. I buy myself some flame armour, a flame shield and a flame flail. For all the money, the armour just gets me 2 more defence, and then I realise I like my blood sword too much at the moment to want to swap it out. Going to the west, and the way they had to shrink the game's script down to fit in the cartridge does lead to some amusing ways explaining things. Like this guy, who says that the Vandal Empire used to prosper around here but they were defeated by Gemma Knight with some sword. Just some sword, who cares? On the western end of town is Dr. Bauhaus' house. I can hear banging inside, and when I go in, I learn that he's mechanised my Chocobo's wounded legs, turning him into a hovercraft that can run on water. Well, those legs better have been injured beyond repair, or else he's just mutilated my newborn Chocobo for a laugh. He also tells me to talk to Bogard again before I leave town. Bogard's talking to Sumo again and tells him things are going to be more dangerous from now. Julius has the power of mana, so the only way to counter him is with the legendary sword Excalibur, the same sword that was used to defeat the Vandal Empire. Sumo asks where the sword is. Bogard's response, somewhere in the world. Yeah, thanks. He tells me to go to Wendell and ask Kibber about it, and to also ask Dr. Babau for directions back there from Ish. Babau tells me to go east from the pier to the north, then north will take me to Wendell, with south being the way to the Ammonites. On my way out of town, one girl tells me about the Dime Tower, built by Vandal that sank beneath the desert. As I leave town, I learn that all new areas in the overworld I discover have a second overworld theme. I love when games do that, change their overworld or world map theme when things get serious. West into the screen Sumo was blasted to for 2 more enemies, the Dragonfly and the Megazord. I go west once again and then north for another new enemy, the Bullet. North again to reach the sea and then west once more to reach that pier. I can now get on the Chocobot and get onto the sea, if I was already on him. But I unknowingly left him outside of Ish, so I walk back, talk to him to have him join me, get on him and ride him back to the pier and onto the sea. I go east 7 screens, passing a snowy mountain, then north 2 screens to reach another pier. Then going north a couple more when back on land takes me back to Wendell. Talking to one of the girls has me learn that the town Lorim was attacked by monsters and Kibber left to help them out. Help the town, not the monsters. She says Lorim is to the south, past the snowfield. So it's back to that pier and south and then west along the mountain I pass until I reach the screen with a hut on it. Then I follow the sea south, east and south 4 more screens to reach another pier to get back on land with. I go north up the steps, east, south 2 screens, east and north up more stairs to reach the town Lorim. The first person I speak to here is Frozen. In the northern door is the throne room, where the king tells me that a monster called Kari, Square's old localization of Marilith, is the cause behind the freezing. Kibber is also here, but he's stuck in the other room. Time to leave already and get this sorted. I return to the pier and go north of the sea all the way until I leave this valley, then get running east until I reach the screen south of the Wendell pier. I take the fork east, then south 3 screens, then east and south 4 more screens, then west into this river, follow it north 2 screens, west, south and back on land from the pier there. I go north, the Chocobot letting me ignore these new Manta Ray and Griffin Hand enemies and go east, south, east and north. There's a chain post, so I have to get off the Chocobot and put myself at the mercy of these sea dragons so I can chain across and keep going north. North again, then west where I reach level 41. North, west, chain across the sea to go north where there's an armory on this screen. I get myself the new ice armour and ice shield which together get me 8 more defence. Now for a lot of backtracking. Back to the pier that leads to Lorim, on the screen to the north I cut down the trees and keep going north. North again, across a bridge and north once more where Sumo tells the Chocobot to stay back as it's too cold for him. More new enemies, first a snowman, then to the north are the walrus and sabercat. I go east, east again and south, south again and west, south and then east and east again to reach the entrance to the Cave of Snowfields. First screen has another new enemy, the Poto. I go north for 2 more, the Air Element and Beholder. Of these 3, only the Beholder can be damaged by my sword. I go north again to a room with a snowman and a switch. I stand on the switch to make the snowman slide off the ice and then push it onto the switch to open the door to go east. I chain across the water and go north, then chain across the ice tiles to fight my first duck soldier and go west. I unlock the door to the north and find that the flame flail I bought can kill the Potos easily. I go through the east door and do it again on the next screen. Then through the north door and up the stairs. I go north, west and ride the ice north into the next room, then walk around the northernmost ice and ride that west through 2 screens, then in the next room ride the western ice south through 2 screens. Killing an air element with the flame flail gets me to level 42. I get on the southern row of ice and ride it east, south and east. I then get in the middle row of ice, riding it west and then north to get off in this room. Then break down the northern wall between these plants to find some stairs. Up those stairs I break down the northern wall again to reach a recovery spring. Back out and I take the western door, then go south and kill the enemies to spawn a chest with an elixir. Backtrack 2 rooms and I take the eastern door. Then the northern door and go up the stairs to find a unique looking area, where I go east and through the door at the end. I next chain across some ice and take the western door, cross a bridge and keep going west, then south to find a room with a circle of ice and 2 switches. Stepping on the switch in the middle gets rid of 2 ice tiles so that I can reach the other switch that opens a door going south. Then through the door to the east, cut through the coral I think, and go east some more. Then I take this bottom row of ice on the east to go east 2 more screens. In this room I take the eastern ice south and then do so again on the next screen, then chain across the ice and take the bottom row of ice west. Through the northern door here is another recovery spring, and then I go back and take another southern row of ice tiles west, chaining onto a post to get off the ice. After a few minutes of failed attempts that is. I then break through the western wall and chain across to a few posts to reach some stairs. This takes me outside, high up the mountains where I go east and back into the cave. I chain across some more posts and go east, north through the door and chain across to more stairs. This takes me outside again where I go east to finally meet this Carrie, or Marilith. She throws icicles towards me and charges forward with her tail with her head as a weak spot. Just stay above her as long as possible and you have access to her head and will avoid most of her attacks. She's weak to the flame flail so it doesn't take long to kill her. She also leaves behind a chest containing the ice sword. Walk back outside, I head on back to Lorim, reaching level 43 on the way. Back inside, everyone is unfrozen. I go east and north through the door to find Kibber. He gives me the bone key and tells me to go up the wide river by the Ammonite coast and then past it to the float rocks and use the key inside the cave there. He says that the guardian monster there has Excalibur, then he'll tell me the rest when I return with it. So out of Lorim and from the screen that leads down the river towards it, I go north, west 3 screens, north 2 screens and get off at the pier there. Getting between the palm trees, I follow the path west, south, west again, south again, west and north to reach the cave of Palmy Desert. I was skipping ahead a bit here, but this place is very short and I was wanting to wrap up that recording session. I go down the stairs and the second room has more new enemies for me, the Fire Moth and Earth Element. My new ice sword destroys them. I go down more stairs and in the next room go north to already find the boss of this place, Lich. He flies around the screen throwing skulls at me. It seems he's also weak to the flame flail, but I prefer the blood sword here as making contact with him deals a lot of damage and I want my healing to outpace his damage. Even then there are still times when the blood sword isn't enough and I have to use Cure. He doesn't take long to defeat though and he drops the magic book of Nuke, granting me the game's best defensive spell. It's so funny to me, all the stuff that wasn't allowed past Nintendo of America's censors back in the day, and yet naming a magic spell Nuke was perfectly fine in this game and the US SNES Final Fantasy IV, or 2. From the pier, I go south 2 screens, west 5 screens, north 2 screens, west 2 screens, north 6 screens and back through the river I passed earlier when buying the ice equipment. I get off at the pier, go north and east, but this time I change to this post here and go south, south again, east, south 3 screens and west. Another new enemy, the Tortoise Knight, immune to the flail so I break through the rocks with the Morning Star and take it down with that. I go south, south again, east and south. I then go west and north across the bridge and south again. South once more where I reach level 44 from a Tortoise Knight, then west to another hut. In here I can buy the Thunder Spear for over 11,000 GP. This is gonna be useful soon. From the hut I go south, east, break the rocks and keep moving east, break more and go north to find another hut. It doesn't sell anything I need and I go west to find a locked door. I use the bone key to enter the cave of float rocks. I go north and north again through the door, then break through the eastern wall and keep going east. I break the rocks here to stand on a switch to create a path to the door, then clear the way to the second switch to open it so I can continue east. I go through the door to the north, north again, then break through the northern wall to reach some stairs. It leads to this bridge where I go east to take on another boss, the Kraken. Tiamat was the only one left out. It hangs out below the bridge, poking me with its tentacles while I just stand above, stabbing it with the Thunder Spear and healing when necessary. It doesn't take long at all to defeat and its death opens up a door I can go through. This places me back on the overworld where I go east, south, west and north to reach another door back inside. To start with, I go south, west, west again, through the door to the north and then break down the western wall. I have to place 2 snowmen on both the switches, but first I have to cut away the plants without killing the enemies I'll be using for this. While moving back a few screens to respawn them, I reach level 45. I get both switches on my 4th attempt to open up some stairs in the corner. It leads outside where I go west and through a door back inside. I go west to find a room where the door to the north is blocked off by lava. Since I have the health, I can run through the lava to the door without getting killed. In the next room I go north again, then west, south, down the stairs and west, break through the rocks and go south. I then have to walk through lava to reach the door going south, which I have to use a key on. Killing all the duck soldiers in here spawns a chest with a Zeus axe inside. I backtrack 5 rooms and go through the northern door. I then break down the eastern wall and go down the stairs. It takes me outside again where I go through the other door back inside. I go north, through the eastern door where I reach level 46, keep moving east, then south through the door and south again to find a recovery spring. Back to the last room and unlock the door going east, then break the southeastern rock to find some stairs. It leads to 3 doors and I take the eastern one. From here I go south, west through the door, north, and in this room freeze 2 snowmen to place on the switches to create some stairs to go down. From this screen I go west to face the boss of this place, Ifrit, or Ifrit as this version calls it. His only attack is to curl up into a fireball and roll around the screen. After that he'll waddle side to side a bit before starting again. In ball form I can hit him from the sides, and when uncurled he only takes damage to the face. He takes a bit longer than the Kraken, but he still isn't very hard so long as you just keep healing. The chest he leaves behind contains a rusty sword, confusing Sumo. Booted back outside, it's time to return to Lorim. I actually get my first and only death here as I get Moogled and the Griffin Hand launches itself into me just before it wears off, dealing insane damage. Back at Lorim, I talk to Kibber again. He says the only thing left to do is to reveal the Dime Tower, the one that's sunk under the Desert of Crystal. He tells me that the rusty sword will help me if I use it in the Cave of Ruins. Excalibur will only show its true form if it approves of the wielder. He tells me the cave is in the desert near Ish and to ask Dr. Bow Wow for more information. So time to trek back to Ish. Not long after I leave Lorim, I reach level 47. The journey back there is quick and I go straight for Bow Wow's house. He tells me that there's a piece of crystal in the desert I can destroy with the nuke spell, but he doesn't tell me which one. From Ish I get using nuke on the crystals. It turns out to be on the screen 2 west and 2 north from Ish. The one on the right leaves behind a hole I can enter to find the Cave of Ruins. I start this place by going west and meeting 2 new enemies at once, the Den Den and the Doppelmirror. I go west again and down the stairs, then through the door to the north. This room introduces the Guardians. Plus there's these tiles on the ground that will only let you pass through a certain direction. I get through to the eastern door to find a chest containing the Dragon Shield. I go back to the last room and take the northern door, then go north again, through the western door, navigate the sparks and go west again to reach a chest containing the Dragon Sword, 10 points stronger than the Thunder Spear. I go back 2 rooms and go east through the door and east again, north through the door and north again, north through another door, then around the spikes and west. North once more to reach the boss, the Mantisant. This surprised me. Since I have played Secret of Mana, I recognise this as the first boss in that game, so seeing it being such a late game boss here was a bit odd. First I have to walk through the sparks and take damage to reach it, which is a bit of a dick move. Apart from that, it just moves around swinging its scythe hands. Like the last few, I let it come to me while swinging away and healing whatever damage it deals to me. Simple. Its death opens up a door to the east. I go through and stand on the switch with the rusty sword equipped. I'm sent outside and told the Dime Tower will rise somewhere in the desert. Well, it can wait. I travel to around the lake where the airship was and return to this screen with the 4 werewolves in a line for a little grind. Using my flame flail to kill them all in moments after entering the screen and repeating. And by little grind, I mean just over 5.5 hours, about a third or 2/5 of my total time spent playing this game. I grinded all the way to level 99, getting myself a full 99 on all stats, HP maxed at 999. MP I could only get 1 point short at 98 though. I also maxed out my money at 65,535 GP. It needed to be done at some point, and looking at how much of the game was left, this would have been the last chance. Now to look for that tower. Starting from the screen with the Cave of Ruins, I go 2 screens south, 1 east, 1 south and 1 west. Once I enter this screen, I see the Dime Tower rise from the sand. I go inside and in the first room, this robot introduces itself as Marcy to me. It was built by Dr. Bow Wow to search the tower for relics. It was left here by him and forgotten 50 years ago, while the tower sank beneath the sand. It then offers to help me out. To start with, I go west and then north to find 2 more new enemies, the Wonder and the Garasha. Marcy fights by firing lasers in a straight line. I go north again for another 2 new enemies, the Death Gauntlet and Evil Sword. This time I go east, then break down the eastern wall. I go north through the door and in the next room go west and then up the stairs. I go west again and notice I can't help but spend time trying to kill enemies I don't need to, since I can't get anything more out of them. I go south, east, south, south again. In this room is a stone tablet saying that whoever touches the mana tree gains its power. I go east and up some stairs, taking me outside where I climb north up this vine. At the top, I then go through a door back inside and then west, unlock the northern door, through the eastern door, and then find a chest containing dragon armour, a nice 6-point increase over the ice armour. I backtrack west and then break down the western wall to go up the stairs in the next screen. Going south from here will take me to a room where I can rest for free, and then go back and up the next set of stairs. 2 switches in here with minotaurs stood on them surrounded by trees. I have to carefully cut down the trees without killing them and use the ice spell to turn them into snowmen to activate the switches. Thing is, Marcy's laser can kill them and it likes to just get in there and wipe them out while I'm trying to sort out the puzzle. It takes me about 12 or 13 attempts before it goes well and the door to the north is opened. Going east then takes me to another tablet saying that the Vandal Empire should fall soon and that they leave their last hope in the Cave of Waterfalls. It turns out to be a message written by one from the Empire to Julius. I go south and then up some more stairs. Back outside I go north up more stairs to the top of the tower to reach the boss, Garuda. I was told this flew the pendant from Jad to Glaive, but I never ran into it until now. It'll throw a couple feathers at me, then swoop diagonally across the screen and then repeat. With my maxed out stats I'm under no threat and it dies in no time. Marcy says the tower is losing balance and that they have to hurry. I run west, across a bridge to reach land, but the bridge collapses at the end. Marcy says it will throw Sumo and then jump after him. Once Sumo is over, Marcy reveals that it can't jump and was lying. It was made to work in this tower and goes down with it. It knew that Sumo would stay behind to try and save it, getting himself killed as well. The tower had managed to stretch all the way back to Glaive Castle, so all I have to do is return to the waterfalls. With no one to send me falling down a third time, I can finally ride them up. I go shooting all the way to the top, and from there I go west and north to reach the Temple of Mana. To start with, I go south and find another Final Fantasy III sprite turn into an enemy, this time the ninja. I go east, east again and north. In this room I kill a ninja that drops a chest containing the strongest armour in the game, the samurai armour, 10 points stronger than the dragon armour. I go north again and then unlock the northern door and up the stairs. I go up more stairs on this screen and I'm already facing another boss, the dragon. It just walks around the screen spitting fireballs while taking damage only from the head. It's an easy fight and it can only do 1 damage at a time to me, but I should have swapped to a weapon with more range to make hitting the head easier. Once it's done, it leaves behind a teleporter I take. On this next screen I go west to find the new demon enemy. These should only be killed by the nuke spell, but at my level a fully charged dragon sword attack is good enough. I get on another teleporter and in the next room go west. I go north and west, but then find I need a key to continue and I've run out, and I can't go back. So I run back to some of the first rooms as they placed early enemies here that drop keys. I return to that door and unlock it, then take the teleporter. I go east and take another teleporter, then go through the door to the south. I break down the western wall and go west again. In this room, one of the demons I kill drops a chest containing the samurai helmet, the best helmet in the game, 6 points stronger than the opal helmet. I then go south and through the western door to another teleporter. From it I go west, south, south again and into a room filled with blocks, a locked door, a switch and 2 minotaurs. This is the first time where the fact I can control the movement of the ice spell is relevant. I just have to navigate through this maze and hit the minotaur on the switch to open the door. Through that door I go up some stairs, then north up more steps to face another boss, the Red Dragon. Trust me, it's red. It's also an exact repeat of the previous dragon boss, so there isn't anything to say other than I kill it. Through the teleporter and then west on the next screen to another one. Back inside I go north, east, north through the door and onto another teleporter. East on this screen to another teleporter back inside. I go south, east and east through the door to yet another teleporter. I unlock the door to the west to find a recovery spring and go back through the teleporter, back west a room and then south to another teleporter. Another outdoor screen again where I go west to another teleporter. Then east through the door and east again, east a third time, east a fourth time, east a fifth time into a room with a ninja and a load of switches. I have to freeze the ninja and place it on the correct switch, which is the one 2 south from the western entrance. I then go north, north again, north a third time and up the stairs. This takes me to another boss arena, but this one isn't a repeat, it's a zombie dragon. This one is actually easier, it just moves around and shoots fireballs, but since it has 2 heads for weak points I have an easier time dealing damage faster. It goes down in no time, through the teleporter to the last stretch. From here I just have to keep walking north, but first we have the Mammoth, the final enemy in the game. I keep killing them until one drops a chest containing the Aegis shield. That's the game's strongest shield, and me as best defended as I can possibly be. After moving a few screens north across this bridge, I enter a forest. I go north again and find Fuji's mother waiting for me. She recognises Sumo as a true Gemma Knight and grants him the Excalibur. A massive 29 points stronger than the Dragon Sword, I'm now as powerful as you can possibly be in this game. I go north through 2 more screens and then west, south, west around more trees, and north up 1 more set of stairs to find a mana tree, where Julius and Fuji are waiting. Julius says Sumo is too late, as he has already gained the power of mana from the tree, which he plans to use to build his Neo-Vandal empire. He says he doesn't need Sumo anymore, and we can now finally fight him. Julius splits himself into 3 copies, all throwing out endless fireballs. This is over in no time. He can barely harm me, and my huge strength stat takes out all 3 of them easily. He's far from done, and unleashes the power he gained from the tree, transforming into this thing that has a second head where his dick should be. He moves around shooting lightning from each of his shoulders and occasionally going in for a forward charge. Once again, my defense is so high, he only manages to deal 12 damage to me before I kick his head in again. I'm returned to the mana tree where Fuji is broken from a hypnotism. Sumo reassures her that it's all over, but Julius chimes in to say that it is in fact not. Julius takes on 1 more form and I have to fight him in front of the mana tree, with Fuji walking around to help if I need her. This form is a slightly bigger threat. He can do around 30 damage to me on contact. He teleports around the screen, throwing fireballs from both of his hands before teleporting again. I just have to get the hits in before he disappears again. Fuji isn't much help here. It's far more convenient to just cast Cure myself and heal for more than it is to go into the menu and ask her for her weaker cure. It's not long though until I smack him enough and make him explode like the rest of them. However, in his death, the mana tree is also destroyed. The two have no idea what to do, but Fuji's mother appears. With the mana tree gone, they need a new tree. She reminds Fuji that they are the seeds of the mana tree. Fuji has to transform into a bud called a Gemma, and then she must grow into the new mana tree herself. The Gemma Knights then have to fight to protect the tree. Fuji's mother was the tree that was just lost, and Fuji is the last member of the mana family. While her mother says no one can decide this for Fuji, it's pretty clear she has no choice but to become the next mana tree. Fuji does agree to it with no argument though. She's also aware that if she is the last, then when the tree that she becomes dies, then that's it, the world is in for a bad time. This also leaves Sumo as the only remaining Gemma Knight to watch over her, Fuji's mother asking him to give her thanks to her surviving knights. She begins to wither and Fuji takes her place while her and Sumo say their goodbyes. Over the credits we get to see some extra bits with no dialogue. Sumo returning to Ish to see Bogard and Sarah, riding minecarts with Watts, seeing Kibba, watching Lester play his harp and returning the Chocobo to his family. We then end on an image of Fuji beginning to sprout as the new mana tree. I think this is the earliest RPG I've played to have a total downer ending like this. You saved the world, for a bit, but it cost the lives of a few friends, ensured the end of a species, and things will go to shit eventually. I like this game. It's been a while since I played a top-down action RPG like this, the closest comparison being Crystalis, although I still like Crystalis more. It had a slightly irritating beginning with the whole Mattock situation, but it soon picked up. Although I must say that my enjoyment was helped by me using a guide. The dungeons all had several dead ends that I was able to avoid and save a lot of time from just knowing not to take those routes. I was impressed by the amount of story they managed to squeeze into a game relatively early on in the Game Boy's life, along with all those temporary allies you get to hang out with. And a great soundtrack, although I think it'd be more noteworthy to have a Final Fantasy without one of those. The collection I have this game on also includes Secrets of Mana and Trials of Mana, so the option to cover those two in the future is always there. Though I would also like to cover this game's 2 remakes, Sword of Mana on the GBA and Adventures of Mana on the Vita, but the former is expensive and I don't have the Vita for the latter, so they'd have to wait. Hopefully one day.